Live. Now, this was my first scheduled live event, which is pretty cool. And I think the most important thing for people is to just test things out. I think the best example is if you go to Joe Rogan's podcast, go back to and watch his like first episode. So the ones that come out now are after he's getting paid like $50 million a year to do a talk show. But if you go back and watch his first podcast, it's literally him with like a laptop camera and a friend sitting next to him. So it's pretty hilarious. So I think the best thing to do if you want to do something like what I'm doing right now is just do it and then you make it better each time. So now I'm sure this these two figures here in the picture are probably going to invoke some emotions, and I promise I'll have different backgrounds on different shows, but that's just kind of relevant to what's happening on Friday, one of the biggest IPO in history. And that's what we're going to talk about today is a lot of the events over the last year have all sort of came together for Friday's big event. And so again, I'm not a licensed broker of stocks, so please don't take any of what I'm saying as investment advice. I'm literally here just to make sure people are informed and just stuff I've noticed that's not in the mainstream media. So I sent out an article this morning, which is trying to put a lot of things together, and that's what we're talking about today. So Friday, just so in case anybody missed the news, Friday is when the SpaceX IPO happens. So today's June 10th, Wednesday. Friday, June 12th is when this big event is happening where Elon tries to become the first trillionaire. But we're just going to talk real quick here. We're not going to stay here for too long, but I'm just going to go through some of these events that have been going on that are all connected. But the mainstream media likes to sort of present them as individual events. And then nobody sees the connections. And so that's really what this whole channel, what my whole Substack is about, is finding the connections between things because our whole lives we've been told that everything's separated into these boxes, everything is separate. But in reality, if you look around, we're all connected. The earth, everything here is connected in a way, and actions by small people like me and you can actually make a big difference. And one of the things people don't realize also is just contacting your representative makes a big difference. You can easily just Google, put in your zip code, your mailing zip code, and congressional person. Just say, tell me who my congressmen are. And it'll tell you who your representative is in the House and who your senators are. And you can call them on the phone and talk to a staffer like right now. Like there's people in Washington by the phone waiting for you to call them and just tell them how you feel about anything. Just you could just call purely for information just to get to know your representative. But anytime someone calls or emails and talks about give your opinion to give your opinion about something, that is actually they're keeping track of all that stuff because your representative wants to please the voters. So if all of a sudden all these people are calling and asking about the stuff we're talking about today, they're going to put more of their resources into it. So I'm just going to go off the publication I sent this morning. It puts together a bunch of things, but we're going to start with why is this Iran war happening? And why did no president before us, before this administration, Trump 2, the second time around, why did no one before attack Iran? And so within this morning's publication, I have a link to my Golden Dome article because a while back. So let me see. When did I write this? I published this Golden Dome thing on April 22nd. So we're talking 2.5 months ago. And sorry, about not even 2 months. Sorry, 1.5 months ago, April 22nd. And the reason I came up with the idea for this Golden Dome article, which you can go check out, uh, I was just trying to figure out like what am I missing about this Iran war? Like there's something doesn't make sense. So I did a lot of searching on Google and using ChatGPT and Claude. Those are the kind of two main AI engines, and then just doing my own research, reading a lot of stuff off Google. I kind of came to the conclusion based off this is all public information. And I don't have a document that actually states that this happened, but if you look at all the actions, you could draw this conclusion. And so this is my opinion based off what I've observed. The whole reason for this Iran war was to promote the Golden Dome. And what that is the most expensive weapons system in history. The Congressional Budget Office estimated it's going to be $1.2 billion, $1.2 trillion. I'm sorry. Whoa, I gotta go back here. I always like to use this metaphor for understanding billionaires and trillion. Now we probably gonna have a trillionaire on Friday. Um, a million seconds is 11 days. A billion seconds is 31 years. And a trillion seconds is 31,000 years. So this is a way you can explain to the average person on the street that a person driving by in a Porsche, you know, they're probably more relatable to you than a billionaire or a trillionaire, because the average person on the street just thinks rich people have a nice car and a nice house, but they don't quite understand that billionaires and now a trillionaire, how much power that is controlling our air, water, and our way of life. So, anyways, I went off. I kind of just wanted to explain the whole thing so that you understand that the millionaire down the street is not the billionaire that's controlling everything that your life happens in your life. So, anyways, back to Golden Dome. This is all related. So, this is all public record, and it's just going to blow your mind if anyone hasn't read the Golden Dome article. But there's a law. It's 18 USC 208, which is the law that prevents federal employees from profiting off their decisions. I go into this completely in the Golden Dome article. Now, when they wrote this law, they were like, wait a second, the president makes these decisions and the vice president. So anything they do is a conflict of interest because they're making decisions, whatever, that are the actual decisions that everyone else is implementing. I mean, if people don't know what the executive branch does, the executive branch's job is to enforce laws that Congress makes. So Congress makes the laws. The president is the CEO of the company that makes the laws happen. So in this particular law, they carved out the president and vice president, this 18 USC 208. And in the past, dignity and respect and honor made it so the president wouldn't take advantage of this law. So, of course, this era is over. One of my friends told me, go check out the White House Instagram. The official White House Instagram is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. It's like it's like the entire Instagram is racist sort of jokes from that book in the 80s, The Best of the Worst or whatever. It's just like the most ridiculous. You're like, are you kidding me? Like, we're finally living in the idiocracy. So if you haven't watched Idiocracy, it's made by Mike Judd, the guy who made Beavis and Butthead. this movie, Idiocracy, was basically now it's considered like a documentary on what is actually happening. Although in the movie, it takes 500 years to get to UFC fights at the White House. So he got that part wrong. It was because this movie came out, I have to double check, but I think in like the two O's or the two tens, might be like the two O's. So it wasn't 500 years, it was 20 years, 10 years to get to UFC fights at the White House because it's like in the movie. You're like, you at the time when the movie came out, it's absurd. Oh yeah, it's gonna be 500 years till something this crazy happens, but it's already here. So, anyways, this law 18 USC 208 gives the president and vice president are completely immune from conflicts of interest. You just got to Google this stuff because you just can't believe it's real. And the only thing preventing the president from enriching themselves was just the fact that the media, the bad press would politically, destroy the presidency if you were to take advantage of this law. That's what kept it in place. But of course, we got a president who posted a picture of him with an alien in handcuffs made with AI from his official tweet or whatever Truth Social thing. So we're way past like the dignity era. We're in this like complete information overload, which is on purpose. We're meant to just be bombarded by so like I don't know what the exact ratio is, but a large amount of the information coming out that we are bombarded with is just completely false and fabricated. And this is my opinion. Uh, and what you hear in the media, what politicians say, like this is what I learned. I'm a political science major in college, and I wasn't fully aware till the Charlie Kirk. I mean, I didn't even really know who Charlie Kirk was until he died. His biggest media thing of all time. But learning about the First Amendment and how wide a gap is protected of speech is pretty incredible. Like you can pretty much say anything on the street and it doesn't have to be anywhere near the truth. Excuse me. So that was a wake up call because when you go to school or go to workplaces in school have these zero tolerance policies for hate speech and things like that. But out on the street, like racist talk is 100% protected by the First Amendment. You can say the most wild, crazy stuff. And so you kind of want to not believe anything that either the left or right says unless they're under oath. And even then, you should double check. But testimony under oath, at least it's a little closer to the truth because information is power. And so controlling the information, controlling that's right. Blah, blah, I'm going off here. So that's what the whole point of waves and positions is. I mean, I'll have to spend maybe another time talking about why is my channel called Waves and Positions, but it has to do with some theoretical physics. So anybody who's interested in physics, I do have some physics papers more in my paid section where I go into some theoretical physics stuff. And the whole my channel is called Waves and Positions because the way matter and the way the world works is things a coherent field of a wave. Sorry, I don't want to blow everyone's mind right now, but then there's these superpositions. When we observe things, we're looking at a superposition. But until you observe it, everything's sort of in a wave cloud of coherent reality. And then when we observe something, you see that superposition. So sorry. All right, sorry. I'm going to get back to the IPO here. Probably lost some few people there. Anyways, we're talking about the Golden Dome, and the reason we attacked Iran was a totally pre-planned thing. So if you read my Golden Dome article, you're gonna read about how there's this law, president, vice president are immune, and literally right after the election in 2024, like days after, Trump Jr. and JD Vance set up these positions where they're advising and holding interests in these companies that later will get these contracts for the Golden Dome. So this is like days after the election. They're setting this up already. So then a week after, just 1 week after the inauguration, we get an executive order from Trump creating the Golden Dome. Okay. Like I kind of remember hearing about it, and you're just like, why do we need this? Because we already have, all these missile defense systems that are cost billions and billions of dollars. So fast forward to 2025, we sort of had a preliminary test with Iran where there was about 12 days in 2025 where it was maybe like again, these are my opinions, but it was kind of, maybe it was just like a test for the next phase, which happened on February 28th of this year, when we attacked a sovereign country under a flag of truce. So I learned this other word called perfidy, which is the worst war crime that you can commit. And all these war crimes sort of terminology came out of the Nuremberg trials after World War II, like all the sort of Nazi atrocities they had to, it's kind of like no one had ever defined these things before. So they came up with definitions for stuff. And perfidy is the word for the worst war crime. And the definition of perfidy is to kill the leaders during peace negotiations, under a flag of truce. So you can see why Iran would be kind of mad, because we're negotiating and then we just kill their leaders. It's considered the worst war crime. The reason is because it makes peace like almost impossible. Like if you've surrendered, or you have under a flag of truce, you're negotiating terms, and then all of a sudden one side kills the other whole side. How is the other party going to come back and want to do a peace deal again? So that's why it's considered the worst war crime, more than like murdering people in general, because it makes the whole peace process like impossible. So anyways, so February 28th, we attack Iran. Immediately, Iran destroys like our THAAD radar, you can Google this, THAAD, or check out my Golden Dome article. Iran immediately just destroys these billion-dollar THAAD radar stations, which give the Gulf states like 30 minutes warning that an Iran missile's coming in. So those just got blown away like right away. And so now you only have like a few minutes to use your missile defense. So the whole point of this Golden Dome thing is that you needed to destroy the old system. We need a better one. So anyways, you read the Golden Dome article, you're going to see that uh, they so after this executive order, during the big beautiful bill, Trump's big beautiful bill, they put in through reconciliation the funding for the Golden Dome. So it's actually set up to the funding goes through 2029 at this point. So the next president is still going to have funding for Golden Dome. So even if we have a landslide Democratic House and Senate takeover, this funding was already put in place to go through 2029. So sorry, this is all tied into this IPO on Friday. So let's get back to the article from today. So I was just going over sort of the Golden Dome stuff. So we got this huge SpaceX IPO on Friday, and something people didn't notice last month. And if you click, I need to make it a little more clear, but at the top of the article from today, there's a link to my retirement heist Trojan horse in your 401k series, retirement heist series, where you can see a more detailed explanation of how SpaceX is going to get rammed into the S&P 500. And it goes into the whole creation of the mutual fund. Jack Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, had this crazy idea, which everyone thought was dumb at the time, to create this very low risk product where you invest in all the profitable companies in America, not the ones that are still trying to figure things out, like SpaceX, the ones that have already created a model that is responsible and creating a profit. So that's what the S&P 500's been for years and years and years. And Jack Bogle saw that and created a product where over the last 40 years, a majority now of Americans moved away from these stockbrokers who were taking a fee. So no matter how successful a stockbroker was, if you minus the fees, the gains were never as good as just buying the S&P 500 over the last 40 years. And people started to notice that. And there was this huge move of money from stockbrokers over to Vanguard, where you pay almost very, very low fees just to keep the lights on, basically. And you get the same returns as paying a stockbroker millions of dollars or thousands of dollars. So everybody did that. And part of the reason they did that was because the S&P 500 has these very strict rules about profitability. Uh, Even a company's profitable, it has to trade for a year before it can even be considered for the S&P 500. All those rules changed last month. I mean, they're not finalized, but they're in the process of being finalized, where they shortened the 12 months down to 6 months. And now you don't have to be profitable, which SpaceX is not. And just so you know, okay, so if you go read my retirement heist series, it goes into more detail about the pipeline that's coming of all these unprofitable companies joining the S&P 500. So SpaceX is just first in line to test the waters here. So they lowered the time to join to 6 months, and then they changed the rule of being like a profitable, functional company to not be profitable. You have to be a certain size, so they just want these gluttonous mega companies that are making money can now join the S&P 500. So after SpaceX, there's going to be OpenAI, Anthropic, and wait, let me just double check the pipeline here so I get it exactly right. Yeah, so we got OpenAI is ChatGPT. Anthropic, Waymo, it's this company that's like been 2 years away from profitability for the last 10 years, that it's these autonomous taxis. Go through the whole pipeline here. Yeah, we got OpenAI, Anthropic, Waymo, Databricks, Stripe. The way you make money on Substack is you connect Stripe, and a few others. They're all in line to join the S&P 500 after they do their IPOs, and it's a 3 trillion exit for the investment bankers. So basically, the investment bankers invested in these products, and then when they go to IPO, that's when the investment bankers get paid their money back. Huge money back. Okay, so now what most people don't understand is that once SpaceX is part of the S&P 500, everyone who has a 401k is now going to own SpaceX. So it's institutionalizing this unprofitable company, which is supposedly going to become more profitable because of the Golden Dome, 1.2 trillion. Now, what's so crazy is that the United States won't own this system. The SpaceX and Palantir are planning to lease it to the government. Now, there's laws in place. Some smart people kind of figured this out. So there are laws that have been put in to try to prevent that, the leasing option, that the government actually owns the thing they're paying for. But as you can see with these other laws, I was just talking about the one where the president and vice president are carved out. The concept of following a law is very um, subjective these days. And since we have a Supreme Court that is interpreting laws in different ways than we've ever seen before, who knows if that leasing agreement thing will go through or not. But one thing we know is that SpaceX is not profitable. And then if we go into SpaceX a little bit more, most people think SpaceX is this thing where it's, we're going to Mars, rockets, Starlink. That's not what it is. You should Google it. It's very similar to Anthropic and OpenAI. And it's plain in their IPO filing that it's an AI company because Elon merged SpaceX with Twitter, which is Grok, the AI thing. And so it's basically just merged together and it's a direct competitor to OpenAI, ChatGPT, and Anthropic Claude, if you've used Claude. Uh, so today's article tried to bring together what I've been talking about for a few month and a half now was the connections between the Iran war, Golden Dome, SpaceX becoming profitable because of this $1.2 trillion mega defense thing. And here's the next thing that's going on. So in the article today, we talk about how Bitcoin has crashed, right? So a lot of the crypto guys, so crypto peaked in October of last year. And then people who are in the know sold, and a lot of that money is going into this SpaceX IPO and the next IPOs. So people who are in the know about these financial products that, I mean, I don't even know what the SEC job is, but we really need to get some government oversight on crypto and just informing the public on some basic information. But that's the coolest thing about Substack is we have people here. Like I really enjoy this woman. Her name is Kate Justice, or it's the Truth Down the Way, Downstream. She's amazing. I mean, it's so true. Like one of her whole mantra is that the citizen journalist. Um, if you see something, say something. They always say it at the airport. But again, these are all my opinions, and this is just all my articles have lots of references to scientific papers, primary documents. I think it's really funny when mostly right-wing people say stuff over and over and people start to think it's true with no reference to a fact or science. I make sure anything I say has been thoroughly researched. And so I specifically put a very robust reference section at the end of all my articles for you to do further research, because I think one of the most important advice I could give anyone is don't take my word for it. Don't believe me. Whatever you hear, go investigate it for yourself. It's really important that as a person, you find the truth yourself, because um, I'm just doing the best I can, but I don't have all the answers, and I don't think anyone's seen everything behind the curtain. So we're just going off what is known, what's released. And hey, I'm Rolf from Waves and Positions, and thank you for anyone who watched. It's really cool. Like, so this is my second ever live chat, and it was amazing what happens after you do a live chat. Substack creates YouTube shorts. Like, it's all automated. So as soon as I hit end this live chat, it's going to create all these YouTube shorts, put this on YouTube, and create a post in my Substack feed. It's just it's incredible how they've automated all this stuff. And I had at least 3 people text me and say that one of my YouTube shorts came up in their feed on their phone or whatever. I was like, wow. So this is all new to me, but I guess this is the way of the future is this live reporting is what people like, and we're just at the beginning. So, hey, if you're here, if you're listening to this, you're one of the first people, and it's pretty exciting here. I'm having a really good time. I mean, I have about 220 or more articles that I've written over the last year, and I've never done any of this like marketing stuff except for like the last month or so. So I'm really looking forward to the relationships and getting to know more people. I just have a love for writing and history, hidden history, and I have a lot of fictional novels that are in the works because I'm also really into stories. Um, if you're a paid subscriber, you can go in and read some more stuff about my past. Like I used to work in all the film industry in Hawaii. So like I was a survivor on Lost. So like when Kate and Jack and Sawyer are talking, you might see me in the background carrying like a bag of rice or like fishing. Super fun. So for about 6 years, I got to do that, be a stuntman and be a survivor on Lost. And then I was a pirate on Pirates of the Caribbean. I got to grow my beard out. And then I was Blue the Raptor in Jurassic World. So we wore these little raptor dancer outfits and we ran around in the jungle with Chris Pratt. And then they replaced us with the CGI dinosaur. So I'm really into creative storytelling. That's what I do now. And then I love this history and world events. So we'll see you guys on the next one. This is super fun and we'll try to find ways to improve. Again, go back and watch the Joe Rogan like first 2 to 5 episodes or first 100 episodes. It's literally him with like a laptop camera and a dude sitting next to him like a friend and they're just talking about their day. So, if you've been worried about doing a live chat or something, just do it because you just like this one was my first time scheduling a one in advance. So every time you just make a little better, and pretty soon you're like the standard. I don't know. I'm not saying I'll be the standard, but and I'll try to get a different background next time because these guys are taking up a lot of the space. And thank you so much. I'll see you guys on the next one.